The canopy swallowed light whole. Even at noon, it felt like dusk. I lay under a sheet of green, wings of my wrecked plane jutting from the trees like broken bones. The engine was silent now. No hum, no hope of rescue. The rain came in whispers, then in sheets. Every drop a reminder that I was still breathing. My rations were soaked, my matches ruined. And yet all I could think about was coffee. It wasn't luxury. It was ritual, a way to feel human again. But in enemy territory, a flame meant a bullet. One glimmer in the dark and they'd find me. So I waited, listening. Mosquitoes whined like tuning forks in my ears. The jungle moved with its own intelligence. Every sound carried weight. I pressed my back against the warm metal of the engine casing, feeling the ghost of its last heat. That memory sparked something in me. A thought so absurd it almost made me laugh. If the sun could heat metal, and metal could boil water, then maybe I didn't need fire at all. But first, I had to survive the night. The rain thickened, drumming the leaves until they trembled like lungs. I closed my eyes and imagined steam, the hiss of boiling water, the comfort of scent. It was ridiculous, and it was the only thing keeping me sane. Somewhere beyond the vines, I heard footsteps. Slow. Careful. The jungle didn't blink, and neither could I. They hunted light. That was the first lesson every pilot learned behind enemy lines. A single spark, a flash, even the flick of a cigarette could give you away for miles in the dark. The Japanese patrols moved quietly. Soft boots on wet soil, rifles wrapped in cloth. Sometimes you didn't hear them until it was too late. So we became creatures of silence. No fires, no smoke. No scent of heat. The jungle made it worse. Everything dripped. The air was thick enough to chew, yet nothing dried. My fingers were raw, my uniform half-rotted. The world reeked of decay and rain. The cold wasn't from temperature. It was from fear, the kind that seeps inward until even your heartbeat feels like noise. For 3 nights, I hid near the wreck. My flare gun was useless. Rescue planes never came this deep. I'd started rationing coffee granules dry, chewing them like bitter dust. That was when I realized what I missed wasn't caffeine. It was warmth. The way heat traveled from the cup to your hands, from your hands to your chest, from your chest to belief. Without that, everything else, orders, courage, duty, started to dissolve. So I began experimenting. I tore metal from the fuselage, left it in the sun, poured rainwater into my dented tin mug, balanced it on the plate. The sun burned through a break in the clouds. The metal zizzled. The first wisp of steam rose like incense from an altar. I froze, half in disbelief, half in reverence. It wasn't coffee yet, but it was heat without flame. And for the first time in days, I felt like I'd outsmarted the jungle. Burma, 1943, the forgotten war inside a larger one. We called it the Green Hell. Endless monsoon, mud that swallowed boots whole, rivers that carried disease faster than bullets. The Japanese held the ridges. The jungle owned everything else. Our squadron had been ferrying supplies across the Arakan Range when the storm hit. A downdraft tore the wing clean. I woke up in vines, alone, 60 miles behind enemy lines. The crash stripped me of almost everything: compass, radio, flares. What it couldn't take was the stubbornness drilled into every pilot. Adapt or die. So I cataloged what I had. A dented canteen, a broken altimeter, my coffee pouch, a prayer written by my sister tucked in my boot, and sunlight. Too much of it by day, none of it by night. The jungle's humidity was cruel, but it held promise. Heat didn't escape easily. Metal stayed warm longer than in the desert or mountains. I scavenged aluminum from the wing, shaped it into a makeshift basin, placed it on a flat rock where the sun hit hardest. The reflection intensified the heat. By afternoon, the water trembled. By evening, it steamed, no flame, no smoke, no signal for the enemy, just light-obeying will. When I finally poured that water over coffee grounds, the smell nearly broke me. It wasn't just drink, it was defiance in liquid form. The jungle had every reason to take me, but not that day. Every morning began with damp cold and ended in fever heat. My skin cracked from sweat and mildew. Mosquitoes fed until I bled through my sleeves. But that small act, brewing coffee without flame, became my anchor. I refined it daily. I learned to position the metal beneath patches of filtered light, added a second layer of scrap behind it, angled like a mirror. The focused reflection made the water bubble faster. Soon, I realized I could heat more than just coffee. I warmed soup from rainwater and powdered rations, sterilized bandages, even dried my socks. It became my ritual. A flame without danger. The trick spread in time. Word passed through the jungle, from scout to scout, from one hidden camp to another. They called it the sun boiler. Some used canteens. Others used the glass lenses from downed aircraft to concentrate light. Every man improved the idea. But I learned another lesson, too. Progress was always hunted. One morning, I found boot prints near my site. Fresh, deep, not mine. I buried the metal, waited for dark. That night I drank my coffee cold. It tasted like fear and victory mixed together. It was Corporal Singh, a Chindit scout, who perfected the method. He'd been watching me from the ridge for days, unseen. When he finally revealed himself, it was with a grin and a kettle made from a Japanese helmet. He showed me the trick they'd used long before the war. Heat from reaction, not from flame. He crushed gunpowder carefully, added a few drops of water, sealed it in a split bamboo tube. The exothermic reaction boiled water faster than sunlight. Silent, smokeless, invisible from the air. Fire without fire, he said. I stared, astonished. Chemistry had replaced the match. We refined it further. Used potassium chlorate from signal flares mixed with sugar, ignited chemically inside metal containers. The reaction gave just enough heat to boil, but never burn. We'd made science into survival. That night we brewed real coffee. Steam rose, blending with the mist. For the first time, I saw the jungle not as a cage, but as a partner. Everything we needed was already here, if we learned how to ask, and in that there was something deeper than invention. There was understanding. We began sharing it quietly through the ranks. Downed pilots, isolated medics, resistance fighters hiding in the hills. Coffee was more than drink. It was morale, warmth, civilization condensed into a tin cup. And now it was possible without betrayal. Some men carried small packets of the chemical mix disguised in ration tins. Others used sunlight concentrators fashioned from mirror shards and periscope lenses. It spread faster than command ever approved. Soldiers are good at keeping secrets that keep them alive. One squad even heated medical water this way during a retreat, saving the wounded when open fire would have meant discovery. In the jungles, the smell of coffee was a promise. It meant someone had beaten the odds that morning, and though the air was heavy, the silence absolute. Sometimes, just before dawn, you could catch the faint aroma drifting through the trees. Not smoke, not gunpowder, just persistence brewed quietly. By 1944, the method had spread far beyond Burma. Arctic airmen used chemical packs to melt snow. Desert convoys concentrated sunlight with vehicle mirrors. Prisoners of war heated soup using cigarette tins and bits of magnesium scavenged from wrecks. Each adaptation carried the same spirit: silent heat, hidden flame. After the war, engineers formalized it. Exothermic field packs, they called them. Modern armies still use them. Flameless ration heaters built from that same wartime. Ingenuity. Every innovation began with desperation and a man trying to boil coffee without, dying for it. History forgets small things like that. But small things are what keep men alive. I still believe the best inventions aren't born from brilliance. They're born from boredom and need, from men staring too long at a problem they can't afford to lose to. In that sense, we weren't scientists. We were just men trying to bring warmth back into a world that kept taking it away. Years later, I read the science behind it. The gunpowder reaction released heat through rapid oxidation. The reflective plates multiplied solar radiation. Both followed the same rule: conversion without combustion. Energy can't be destroyed, only transformed. That's what we'd done, without realizing it. We'd turned fear into focus, sunlight into safety, despair into invention. The coffee wasn't the point. It was proof that even surrounded by enemies, a man could still coax comfort out of nothing. That principle stayed with me. Every pilot knows that heat isn't just physics, it's persistence measured in degrees. Even now, when I hold a mug in my hands, I feel that same pulse of warmth, not from caffeine, from memory. The world has changed. Soldiers now carry portable stoves, self-heating rations, micro-reactors no bigger than a matchbox. But I sometimes think of that jungle, the green silence, the taste of rainwater boiled by light and courage. Technology has made survival easier, but it's also made it quieter. We've forgotten what it feels like to earn warmth, to wait for it, to shape it with patience. Back then, every degree of heat felt sacred. Every sip of coffee was proof that human will could outthink danger. I suppose that's why I still drink mine black. No sugar, no cream, just the taste of resilience. I never returned to the crash site. The jungle reclaimed it, metal, bones, and all. But sometimes, when the morning sun hits the kitchen window just right, I see steam rise from my cup and think of that first wisp above the wing. Heat without flame. It's strange, the things that survive war, not medals or glory, but small acts of defiance that outlast the noise. What we discovered wasn't just how to brew coffee. It was how to believe quietly. The world burns fast now. Neon, noise, endless motion. But somewhere beneath it all, there's still that same kind of heat, patient, silent, earned. We never lit fires in that jungle, but somehow, we kept the warmth alive. If stories like this remind you what endurance really means, subscribe and keep these lessons alive.